Hi, my name is Noel Davis with World Composting, and it's been a while since I've made a video, but we're going to take a look at our Vermibag Max and see how it's doing after about 4 months of not checking in on it. And it's time to sort of make sure that there's food in there, that the worms are doing okay, and try to keep this system working. As I said before, I'm going to add some food such as watermelon, which is very high water content since it's probably pretty dry in there, along with some of the output from my Vitamix food cycler. Eco 5 edition, which I did a review on. I have to say I've been using that every day now. It's just a lot easier to use. I just dump this stuff in my yard or my garden, and I just continue along my way. So I'm going to try to, I've been saying this for a while, but I'm trying to get back into doing my weekly worm videos, but it's just been a little bit harder since this is so much easier to do and my life's kind of busy at the moment. But with that, let's take a look at the Vermibag Max. Let's see how it's doing. Let's add some food, some bedding, and see if there's how the worms are doing in there. So with that, we'll jump over to the system. All right, here is our Vermibag Max. Now it's been, as I said, just over 4 months since we last opened this. And we're going to take a look and see how things are going in here. So we're going to go ahead and move this netting back out of the way. As you can see in here, we've got our little tarp on top that's supposed to help hold that moisture in. And it really does do a good job. You can see, first off, there are some worms right on here. So you see a whole lot of springtails as well moving around probably. But we do have some worms on there. I'm going to put these off to the side. And we just got to remember to put that back on top. Now, as you can see here, and this happens a lot with this system, and a lot of systems just in general, the middle gets worked over really, really well. And oh my gosh, this is really compacted. It's very, very dry. This is too dry for the worms. They're probably down further down where there's more moisture content. But right now we're just going to see, you can see this sides here are really, really dry, but also like this material right here on the sides was not broken down because there's so much airflow out of the sides. That's the first area to dry out. You're gonna hear a lot of creaking as I move stuff around here. This material looks really, really good. The worms, kind of tiny, very tiny. These are my standard what are they, red worms, your red wigglers. And you can see they're still in here, but there's just not a whole lot of them. Why? Because the moisture content has gone down so much. Now, as the moisture content's going down, they're going to be multiplying. There should be a whole bunch of cocoons probably somewhere in here. I'm just digging through right now. You can see actually there's more. Oh my gosh. So you can see right now, there's sort of a layer of them near the top. The bottom is really compacted. This really needs to be harvested soon. And what I'm doing right now is just trying to turn this up a little bit. We're gonna give these guys some moisture in just a second here. I've got my sprayer that I've been using to add moisture to all my systems. As I said, it's been 4 months. This is a long time for these worms to go without any extra food or moisture, really. But you can see as I dig down here, I can feel it's very compacted. But you can still see, they're like, even with all that compaction, there's still worms way down in there. I can see holes through it. It's still getting air. Still getting, well, I don't know what that is. It's probably some sort of plastic paper or some sort, but it looks like it's slowly breaking down. So maybe it's a shell of something, but you can just see that the worms are all through the system still, but there's just not as many of them as there was at the peak. But we're going to add a lot of food in here. We're going to see if we can kind of bring this back. The first thing we're going to do though is I'm just going to sprinkle I'm going to put some water on top here before we add anything on here. And I've got a sprayer now that I've been using. I just find this to be a lot easier, especially for moving the water around and kind of getting it where you want. It just makes things a lot easier. Now this is only a surface watering. This is not a deep watering. This is not getting water down into the lower sections. This is just a surface level watering, just to kind of introduce some moisture. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of turn it off here, mix it up a little bit. The idea is to give us the worms somewhere to run sort of a little bit where there's some moisture on the surface here. As this gets better, we're going to go ahead and add more moisture. I'm seeing some larger worms that are turning up too, but this should help them kind of grow in size, because they need that moisture content. That's how they breathe. This is definitely drying out. This is one of my drier systems because of the mesh lid. It usually does pretty well over the summer when there's a lot of humidity in the air. But, alright, so that's good. We see a little bit of water pooling on top. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. Kind of makes a loud buzzing sound. And what we're going to do now is we are actually going to add, let's see what I'm going to add here first. I'm going to add some of our mixture of, and right now actually I'm going to put my mask on too. But this is my output for my Eco 5, my Vitamix. And this thing, it does work incredibly well. But, you know, this is, it's a little bit dusty when you use it. So I'm going to put a whole bunch in here. Just like that. Hold on just a second here. Let me put that off to the side. And my glue's a little wet, so it's going to stick to it. But we're going to just go ahead and spread that along the top. Now this does have a bunch of like shells and things like that in it, but I think we're going to add a little bit extra to the system this time as far as that. So I've got some dolomite that I've been using every once in a while. And this also is supposed to help with any type of fruit flies and things like that, I think, as well. We're just going to kind of sprinkle some of that in here just to give it a little bit. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and put that all to the side and close it. All right, maybe I'll close it later. I can't seem to close it. And now, of course, we got to add some food. Now, for this, actually, we're going to add in a little bit more paper here, too, before we add in this food. I'll show you why in just a minute. We're just going to add just a little bit more paper. And actually, you know what? Before we get this food in there, you know what? I'm going to add a little bit more water and just wet this down. Just because there's a lot of dust. Hopefully this will just tap down on the dust that's coming in and clean off my glove a little bit too. Just like that. There we go. There we go, just like that. Just to kind of tap down that dust a little bit. And now, the reason why I didn't add too much water though is we're adding in watermelon. This is frozen right now, but this has a ton of moisture content in it, which is going to be great to feed the worms. High sugar, also typically produces a lot of microbes. This is going to be really good for the worms. This is one of their favorite foods I have found. These are large chunks, so I'm just putting them face down. All right, you can hear a banging sound. All right, maybe this one's not going to break off. These are frozen together. I was hoping that they would. Oh, there we go. So let's just kind of move these around a little bit. Get them in there where we can. Make sure that they're touching the surface, although they're going to just dump in all the extra moisture that's in there. I mean, they're going to move around pretty quickly. Oops. A little bit more on the lid. These are going to thaw out pretty quickly, and they're going to start shrinking down into there, which is great. But what do we need on top? We need paper. And I've got my pre-soaked paper here ready to go. And this has quite a bit of moisture content in it too. You can hear the water pouring out as I try to get this out. All right. And just so you know, when I'm soaking the paper in here, I'm not soaking it for days or weeks or anything like that. It's soaked in here for probably a good half hour or so. Normally when I'm about to do this, I'll come downstairs, I'll load this up with water and paper first, and then I'll start getting set up for the video, and then I'll go ahead and add everything in, and then I'll dump it out. It takes me about 20 to 30 minutes to get to that point once I get downstairs. So now part of that, and part of the reason why these videos don't come out as frequently is the fact that it is a lot more work when you're making a video rather than just being like, all right, let me come down here and dump all the stuff in. It's like, I got to think about it. I got to prepare. So there we go. I might need a little bit more paper there just to kind of cover everything. I do like to have everything fully covered, especially food-wise. So we're going to add a little bit more paper here. And remember, this is all pre-saturated, but this is not the stuff that I'm putting in. So we're going to add a little bit more moisture. And the reason why I'm adding so much moisture is this was a dry system. I want to make sure that there's enough moisture for the worms to come back up to the surface. Just clean off my gloves again. Rehydrate, create cocoons, do all the things you need worms to do. There we go. I think I'm out of water in my... I think I'm out of water in the sprayer too. It's starting to slow down there. And with that, we're now ready to put the lid back on. So, all these worms that are on the top here, they're going to go face down right into this moisture that they really need and probably are searching for like crazy. I don't see a lot of, I see a couple dead worms on top here that made it to the surface, which means that they're really starting to search for water. And it's really harming them. So I'm glad I'm getting to this now, and I didn't wait any longer. But with that, we're going to go ahead and close this up, and we will come and take a look at it again, hopefully not in 4 months, hopefully in a few weeks or something, or maybe a month or two. And that's it for my update on my Vermibag Max. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below.